Yo, 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 what's up? My name is Devin Jones, and welcome to another episode of the Neighborhood Heroes Podcast. I'm your co-host, and here's my co-host,
Gloria Craig.
and we have a very special episode for you today. And once again, we are in the amazing, beautiful Chateau Huff. Peace, grace, and love, and all prayers to the family of Mansfield Frazier. You are a beloved community activist and voice for us all. And thank you all for listening, and here we go.
So today we are with the one and only Miss Marilyn Burns from Wood Hill Homes, also known as Morris Black for the OGs. And today we just want to talk to Miss Burns, and we want to know who she is, where she comes from, the work she's done, and all the things in between. So let's get into the first question. Also, thank you for being here with us today. Our first question is, tell us a little bit about who you are and where you come from.
Oh, who am I? Good morning, everybody. My name is Marilyn Burns, and I live in Wood Hill Homes Estates, formerly known as Morris Black. So I'm grateful and very glad to be here this morning to talk to you not only about myself, but Wood Hill Homes. Who am I? I am a community leader and activist, or advocate, if you will, a community researcher, and I wear a dozen other hats. First of all, let me start by saying this is Wood Hill, and it's not about me. It's about the spirit that I can give to the people who I live around, to the people that I try to get to know, to encourage and uplift. I am so grateful that I was born with a spirit of giving. And at the end of the day, actually, that's what it's about. I take the focus off of I, and I put it on the people who I come to serve. I moved into Wood Hill Homes about 20 years ago or so, and I looked around and I saw quite a bit of disparities. I could not believe, oh my gosh, people really live like this. Now, mind you, it's always people who drive by and have these built-up assumptions about an area. Well, I got to live in the thick of things, so to speak. Right. So I saw a lot of illiteracy. I saw a lot of brokenness, hopelessness, and everything else in between. And it's not a thing that I'm not used to seeing, because I grew up basically in a dysfunctional home. My dad was an alcoholic. He was also an abusive alcoholic. So I wasn't surprised of all the drugs and alcoholism that I saw at Wood Hill Homes. But as years went by, it started progressively getting worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. And I did not like that. I could not understand, what is the root of this? And people always talk about trauma. Well, yeah, there is trauma, but trauma comes from a broken spirit, mm-hmm. if you will. I got to be on board. Every year I found a way to go to school or get some kind of training. Mm-hmm. So I started small, because really when I moved there, I was not well received. Mm. They like, who the hell is this lady? Let us hurry up and get her out of here. Mm. She's upsetting the apple cart, okay? Mm-hmm. And we had a manager there at the time, Robert White. And I was and we got close. We started having little conversations, and I was telling him how I felt, and he laughed at me. And I was so pissed off, like, well, this is not funny. He said, Marilyn, you're not God, you can't change the world. But what I will tell you is to go back to school and start learning about the things that you want to be a part of. And this is what I've been doing. For 20 years now, I found a way to go back to school, get some kind of training, sit on some type of board, because we were all disconnected. We weren't at the table, so whoever came in to try to change things to what they thought we needed, to people that could not understand, and talking in a language they didn't understand, and were embarrassed to say anything because they didn't want to be embarrassed and feel like they didn't know what was going on, but that's what was going on. Mm-hmm. So I was like, this is not right. Mm-hmm. This is not right, and this is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. So what I started to do is just to talk to people and know your audience. You got to know who you're talking to, and you got to, because people come in and they're pushing their agenda on us. Right. And so I said, well, we're going to dismantle this. How can I, as one person, come in and dismantle? So I went door knocking every day, talking to people. Some received me, some did not. And that's okay, because they didn't know me. But you have to build trust. I'm always asked every single day, how can we get in? Why is there no community engagement? Why are people? Because they feel embarrassed about sitting at the table. You have to know your audience. A lot of these people are not educated. They went to the 6th grade. A lot of them didn't graduate from high school. So I'm like, okay. So we don't want to, I didn't want to go in and make somebody feel worse than what they did, embarrass them, you know. And stop surveying us, asking us where do we see ourselves in 5 years. Baby, baby, baby.
I'm trying to get to the next day.
Right.
Exactly.
I can't tomorrow, today. Let me get through
They kill me with
today.
that.
I said, don't bring another damn survey down here.
Yeah.
First of all, because you said, and then 5 years down, well, here they are in my face. Miss Burns, what happened to so-and-so coming down here? And I don't have the answers. So I community did some. So they said, well, we'll do the surveys, but for them taking the surveys, let's give them $25. Well, now you're starting to pimp us. I didn't like that either. Because even though now they're very strategic. Now, let me tell you the strategy. They know we need that $25.
Yeah.
They know we're going to take it. So, 25, what do a pimp do? He come out there, collect his little money and give you a little something. You pimping us. You prostituting us. I didn't like that either. And they know that these people need it. So when I go in and I talk to somebody, I'm like, I'll see the house is not clean. Because see, listen. In our house, and I'm talking about our physical house, there's many rooms, isn't there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, and so in that room you walking in today, I might not be feeling my best. I might not be feeling you. Okay? So now we'll take that one room. I come to your house, your physical house, like a structural building. It's not clean. Who am I to judge? I have my bad days too. I ain't doing shit. So you got a baby sitting on your lap, running nose, the diaper need changing. You ain't got money to go across the street and buy no diapers. Then you got 2 or 3 running around the room crying, I'm hungry, mommy. Ain't nothing in the refrigerator but the light and some water, maybe. Okay, where the man at? That nigga in jail somewhere. He gone. So now, okay, I'm looking at you. You stressed out because your hair ain't combed. You might have a black eye from some nigga you slept with last night, and because he didn't get what he wanted, now he beat you up and he gone to the next one. So I'm taking that baby. My pants wet. I know they wet. But it's okay. But if I see you doing like, I done moved your spirit somewhere else where you needed that little uplift just for that split second. I done took your baby. Okay, so I'm looking at what do you want? Not what I'm here to give you, but what is it that you want? You want some fresh air for a little while? I got you. As a matter of fact, I think, you know what, girl? I do a lot of stuff in the neighborhood. I think I got some diapers that I could bring over here. I do a lot of stuff at the food bank, so let me grab you a box. So as I was saying, like I don't come with an agenda for them. I come for them to tell me. Because everybody's story there is different. Just when you think it might be some fundamental stuff that's still the same, but as I've listened to people where I live at, it's always something that I didn't expect to hear. So if I build on the premise of the spirit. When I did my fellowship at Case, it was about mind, body, and spirit. You know, to come in, right now, Woodhill has been that $35 million HUD money that we're getting. They did the first groundbreaking a while back. And so I always press to people, yes, all these new buildings and all this physical structure is wonderful. But what if you take that same person from the spirit that they're and moving in, what's going to change?
Right.
So we have to build on the spirit of the person first. We have to encourage them. We have to remind them that they are special because they've been bogged down so long in hopelessness. They don't see that hope anymore.
Right.
So, like, just real fast, that was amazing. I want to take that piece. You said, almost in essence, the first part of community building starts with spirit building.
Yes.
It starts with getting that person. Because it's one person at a time, definitely in spaces like Woodhill or wherever we are. It takes that time of spending with someone and investing in their soul.
Yes.
I appreciate
I love that because that is the foundation. That is who our Father is, spirit. He didn't talk about flesh and blood, but what does he say? I am spirit. And people can't see spirit, but you can feel it. oftentimes people come in, they looking for data, they looking for numbers, they want to see graphic charts, they want to see all this to take back to the powers that be. So then they say, how do you measure spirit? They have a problem with how do you document that. It's like the wind. Well, you can't see the wind, but you can feel it on your face. You can see what it does to the trees. You can even see the destruction or the buildup of the wind. So they ask me all the time, okay, how are we going to document that, Ms. Burns? With testimonies, with people's stories. You documented, like, have you ever seen a person, and I know we all have, walking with their head down, body all broke down, they don't, but have you seen somebody who has been encouraged and empowered and told all the time that you love them and that you hold them? Guess what? They walk won't change. Absolutely. They talk won't change. The way they treat themselves and their children is going to change. They're angry, they're hopeless, they see no way out. We got to change that trajectory. We got to change it. When you walk down the street, oh, they empowered, they about something, they feeling themselves today.
So one of the things I heard you say a moment ago was about the power of education. You said that every year you wanted to find some way of becoming more empowered through education, taking these different routes. Could you talk or briefly explain or discuss some of the routes that you've taken, some of the things you did? Because a lot of people think that these programs and these opportunities for advancement of the mind only come with college or a 4-year degree, but that's not true.
It's definitely not true. Everybody is not college bound. When Mr. White, who was a former manager of the community center there, I think I started at Fair Hill Partners. Now, Fair Hill Partners had a program on chronic disease. So I took all of that. I took all the training for that. I walked from Wood Hill. I did a lot of walking. I feel like the Book of Eli sometimes. Listen. So I went there. I took all 3 classes. So I'm wondering, like, dang, okay, these people done took these classes, but I don't see nobody teaching them at Wood Hill. I waited. I went in the community center one day and I just said, look, Mr. White, I'm about to change this, teach this class here at Wood Hill. He said, okay. So it's 15 people that have to be in each class. I taught chronic disease. I taught diabetes management, because it's a lot of that in areas such as, and I taught manner of balance. That was for people who had tendencies to falling and whatnot. So he says, okay. It's 15 people per class. So that means you have to document that with Fair Hill. You also have to document that to send it to the main campus of CMHA, right? So I did it. I finished it. They like 8-week classes. So one day I moved to my next class. So he said, Mr. White says to me, CMHA watching you. I'm like, oh my God, what you mean by that? Watching to see how this works out. Because, see, they thought I was just an old gray-haired woman just, all willy-nilly just coming in there and doing nothing. But they saw the progress. Dang, this is revenue numbers, Every class she teaches, she has a overflow list, And when they came in here, let me tell you, well, they had a criteria. You come in, the people that's in your class, you give them a bottle of water and a granola bar. That's the first thing in the morning. Ain't nobody want to come out there getting out, rolling out of bed, and you want to give them a glass of water and some granola bar. I went home, I was making breakfast.
Okay. You was making breakfast.
Fresh fruit, coffee, tea, bacon and eggs and potatoes.
What people really want.
Yeah, people really want. So food bring people together.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how I gravitated. Plus, when I was training them, I stuck by I had the outline of the book, but I put it in language where they could understand and would keep coming back. So I started with that. Then I went from Fair Hill. Then I got on board at Case. And I tell you, I got on board, they had this program called Fresh Link. So that grew into something else. Then I got on other boards. I started my, ear to the wall, so to speak, listening to what was going on. What could I take that they was teaching that wouldn't trickle down to our neighborhood?
That's right.
I was getting that education.
So that is another one, another good strand, I think, is keeping your ear to the ground.
Yes.
Right? You may be in a position or a place or in a community that is quote unquote disadvantaged.
Yes.
But keeping your ear to the ground and seeing what opportunities lay for you and the people around you, that's key. I really appreciate you speaking on that. Gloria, did you have any questions?
Yeah, because I'm hearing a couple things. So obviously, we've talked about the importance of lived experience and having that lived experience and being able to take the education piece, take the lived experience, and bring it together so that then you're able to really reach and talk to the people who you are around.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit to just the importance of having that lived experience and having people with lived experience at the table?
Yes. Because, you know, and people have had these misconceptions, and I have told my story because I've been vulnerable. The spaces that the people that I live around now, I've been in them same spaces. As I was saying earlier before this started, I was a victim of a scam. I mean, I had a beautiful home, had money in the bank, my kids were, you know, and I lost it, all of it. And that's what wound me up in public housing. My dad was an alcoholic. He was also an abusive alcoholic. I've seen different things growing up, even though I grew up in middle class. People think because you live in nice neighborhoods and what, they don't know what goes on behind those doors. Right. All they see is what's out front, what you show them.
That's right.
So it humbled me. It humbled me a great deal. When I cried, I didn't understand why I wound up in public housing, because after I lost all that, I was living on the streets. I know what it is to live in a bus stop. I know what it is to be separated from my children. I know what it is to live with people who take advantage of you, because I worked all the time. I was trying to be hopeless for a while. I tried to work. When people took advantage of that, well, when the money wasn't what they thought it was, you got to get out now. So I know what it is to sleep in a bus shelter. I know what it is to sleep in a car. I know what it is to be hungry for so long that I had to reteach myself how to eat.
Yeah.
So when I come and talk to these people that live here and they tell me their stories, I say, I know how you feel, I can truly say that from the heart. I know how they feel. So going to but I had a great education. It's just that stuff happens to people who have good education.
That's right.
You know, so it's a thin line, and I hate when people become judgmental. It's a thin line between judgment and your opinion. You know what I'm saying?
So right.
Because today you could be up and tomorrow you could be down.
Absolutely.
When I went to college, we had to do something on the homeless pop, and I visited parks and stuff. I've met men who've had their businesses today, and then tomorrow you sitting out here on a park bench. Your family has thrown you to the wolves because you no longer can supply that need that they had before. So when I go into the community, I take my life experience.
That's right.
And what has happened to me, my educational background, and I've had a pretty good one, and I combine those things, and how can they feed on each other to serve the community of people that I'm around?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Did you have one?
Yeah, I think this is a good chance to talk about some interesting news you told me I didn't even know when you came in, which is that you are a part of the Justin Bibb transition team, mayoral transition team. And so my question is, everything you've said is raw. Everything you've said I can point to, I've been through. I know people that are going through it. And so putting that in context of having an opportunity to be on an advisory role to the next mayor of Cleveland, what are some of those things about your lived experiences, the things you've been around, the people that you're around? How are you advocating? What are ways you're advocating for them and holding these next people, the next leaders of the city, accountable in a way?
Well, first of all, as I said earlier when we were talking, I gave Justin hell when we first met until we talked. And I'm like, okay, I always put people through a test. You know, God put us through a test when we first got. He put everybody, all his leaders that were Moses, David, everyone went through a test.
That's right.
So, you know, we often hear through politicians, because politics is a very dirty game, as we all know. Say what you mean what you say. You say anything to get my vote, right? So I'm going to put you through the test. So when he asked me to be on this, and he saw my authenticity, you know, authenticity,
there
if
you
you
go.
will, and my transparency, he loved it. You know, we had many talks over the phone. He came and saw me, and I was honored when he asked me, because even though I admire everybody for each team that he has picked to cover whatever he's covering over his time as being mayor. They're all young. I understand that. We do need fresh blood in this space. But, you know, the enthusiasm, everybody has their own agenda. And coming from the academia world, they want to put their in place for the community. Oh, baby, baby, baby. But you know nothing of life. You still, as my way probably, you still wet behind the ears. So I don't know if you ever heard that saying.
Yes,
I used to
ma'am.
hate that. And it took me years to understand what that meant.
No sauce, no seasoning.
Yes, it's like you go to a buffet, Golden Corral. You don't take everything out, although I've seen some people in there putting everything on their plate and they look like this. Oh my God, you know, in hell, you're not going to eat all that. Half of it's going in the garbage. Okay? So I take it as an approach. I'm listening to what you're saying. But young people, I have this experience. Your idea is great. So let's take your idea and formulate it and make it fit in the community. Let's stop going in there and telling people what you think you want them to have.
That's right.
You know how a baby does when you start spoon feeding and they do this?
I don't want that.
I don't want that.
That's right.
And that's the same way with our community. Stop trying to feed us your agenda because you're working on that coming from this psychological aspect.
Right, yeah.
You know,
That's
don't...
right.
You know, I told them to take off the table low-income housing. Take that, because that has...
Don't call it that.
Don't call it that.
Because we rich in spirit.
Low, it's the lowest your spirit, exactly. Public housing, okay. Oh yeah, you mean, but don't say low-income housing.
That's right.
Like when they changed the name to, when I talk to people, this is Woodhill Homes Estates. They said, where that at? I know they don't. So as soon as I see Morris Black, oh, well, why didn't you say that? Oh, I know about the old Morris. See, we have to take these stigmas, these stigmas. Yes. And this is what's happening. And this is why people don't get that community engagement there. Change your verbiage. Change your approach. Know your audience, but don't belittle your audience. You want to engage them. You want to embrace them.
Absolutely.
Then they'll come to the table.
Right.
I sit at the table on purpose.
Absolutely.
On purpose.
Absolutely.
Because I'm advocating for those that you're not allowing at the table.
That's right.
You don't see when was the last time you seen a bum sitting at the academia level like Case or Urslan or all those. They're not at the table. I'm at the table for them.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Because I've been through what they've been through.
That's right.
Can you? I'm sorry. Can you speak a little bit about like some of the community work that you have done, like such as your event that just happened that we were all able to see? Like, can you talk about a little bit about those?
When the COVID first hit, they closed down everything.
Yeah.
It looked like a desert town. They weren't allowed to go in the office to pay their rent. They had to pay it online. They were definitely not offered into the community center. And what really pissed me off, they still had this program that they had to feed the kids. That's government, that's federal. You had to. So they was like out the door. I went off. I said, oh, so now we dogs now, right? So you feel, oh no, Miss Burns, it's not. Yes, it is. There was no activity. The first summer, it was so darn hot. How hot was it? Almost compared to hell, you know. So we had a splash park. So I'm like sitting there with a couple of colleagues of mine. What we gonna do? It's hot out here. Kids ain't got nothing to do. They walking around. They disenfranchised. They don't have. I said, let's give ice cream social and splash park. So they have these balloons where you stick them to the hose and they all blow up and they drop down. We have balloon fights. No splash park, guess what? They're going to get wet anyway. So I started with that. So then I said, oh, let's do something else. All through the course to have them engaged because literally it was like we're imprisoned. And, you know, it's so hard. I get so upset behind this because it's like, you got this big black fence around it, this psychological mind thing. What do it remind you of? We in prison. Don't they have that stuff around prisons? Them fences like that? Knock that down. Because this psychological thing that you putting in our mind you, it's been public. Ours is a red-lined area.
That's right.
Since 1930. Now, we all know that redlining is illegal, but it's still going on. That psychological redlining you're doing to us. But people, their mindset and from their literacy standpoint, they don't see it because it's been historical, generational, intergenerational, societal, traumas. And then let's not put on top of that the cherry on top of the cake. Now you're stigmatizing us.
Yeah.
Oh, pull them up by the bootstraps. It's their fault. It's not their fault.
You know, you really speak greatly to this issue of stigmas. We embodying the idea and the perception that people have of us as a race, as a culture, as a place, as a city. What are ways that you have found that to be effective when working with people to take the first steps of getting them out of the mindset of feeling like they're less, of embodying that false narrative? What are some of the ways that you've found that is effective at, you know, almost rebuilding people in a way, right?
It is, and it's a process. It's a long process.
That's right.
Just like these things have happened over time.
That's
and some
right.
of this stuff, all of it is intentional, but a lot of it was subtly done so that you couldn't see until it's all in your face, and then you're sitting there saying, "What? How did this happen?" It happened subtly. It happened strategically. It was strategized to keep us down, breaking up the family homes. So as far as rebuilding on my part, I take it a day at a time. I'm out there on the grinding every day like I'm going to a job, and it's a job. It's my job to rebuild the spirit of my people. Am I my brother's keeper? For me, yes, I am. Yes, I am, because guess what? I was that person, but I had a father that loved me and molded me for what I do today.
That's right.
Today. So I get back.
right.
So when I see somebody with their head hanging down, walking by, hey, my sister, you know you look good today, girl. You didn't tell me you was gonna come out looking like this. I would have got better prepared. You know, some you hey, my prince, hey, my king, walk with the king. You know, rebuild their spirit. You got to start with the words.
Words
How
matter.
Yes,
words
you
matter.
are somebody, because we are descendants of a king.
That's
so if
right.
we are descendants of a king, what does that make us? We
right.
royalty.
Absolutely.
Nobody has told you that. I love you today. You know, yeah, I know it's COVID.
That's right.
I'm covered, but I'm covered. I'm covered.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna hug you. People say, "Oh, I'm covered. I'm covered with His blood. I'm
That's
covered."
Right. That's right. Let His
He
will be
sent
done.
me out here to do the work that He told me many nights. You have to be very quiet when you speak. When I speak to Him, sometimes I just sit there like
That's right.
this.
Oh, yeah.
I sit there
Peace, be
like this,
still now.
waiting for Him. Be still. Be still. I got you. Like they say, I ain't doing this no more. I hear this whisper. There's something that says to my
That's right.
spirit, you're going to get up tomorrow and you're going to
That's
do
right.
what I got you.
Right.
That's right.
I sent you out here. I'll give you what to say. Like he told me, why me? Why me? Why you pick me? He had a speech impediment. I'll give you the words to say. And he gave him that stick. So he was armored up, and that's how I feel when I go out here and serve.
right.
I'm ready today.
With the armor of God.
I'm ready with the armor of God. Yes, I get to keep to that. I can stand, but I keep on marching. Some days I say, I ain't coming out here no more. I ain't coming out today. But then here come this little kid running up trying to put, I love you, Miss Marilyn. I'm like, okay, I'll be out here tomorrow. I ain't going in the house. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, this is not easy work. I cry. I've had so many sleepless nights. I'll be like, I ain't been to sleep at all. But I get up in the morning, because it's somebody that needs to see me.
That's right. They need your love.
Yeah, it's somebody that need a word from me. Hey, Miss Marilyn, you got, I wouldn't give that person nothing, but that could be you.
Yeah. Easily.
So,
Yeah, I was wondering, like, you know, after you come up with an idea, you plan an event, you implement it, it happens, it's successful, you go home, you're decompressing. What are the thoughts? What are the things that you're thinking about? Like, okay, this was good. Like, how do you kind of measure your success, I guess?
I said, like the last event, you know what? I sat there, and a lot of times people don't say thank you or appreciate that, and you know, it's all right. But if I see a kid smiling and running around and all excited and happy, if I see a couple saying, you know, they happy, they just grinning, that's my thank you. I go in the house, I'm gonna be so tired, I can hardly move sometimes. But I sit there and I ask myself, who did I touch today? Who came out and probably was in the house feeling like nobody care, ain't nobody gonna do nothing. It's been like this for years and years and years. If I can say that made a difference in somebody's life, then that's my gratitude. It's not always about money. It's always about how it makes me feel too. I got a spirit, you know, that I need uplifted, that I need to, you know, be reinforced. And if I can see that, then I'm sitting there and saying, oh, my body be hurting so bad that I can't even lay down. It hurts so bad. And I'm like, then I'm laying there thinking about, okay, what can I do next time? I'm like, oh my God, I just finished this 5 minutes ago, you know, but I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what can I plan for the next time? Who do I go to? Because see, you know what, I found out that over the years that people, and I've had people come back and say, Marilyn, you being watched. What do you mean? You know, people are seeing what you are doing that's successful. Then there are still haters. I got a bunch of haters, y'all. Now, let me tell you, there's people out here that want me to fail, but I look at that, guys, like, I'm not looking for any accolades.
Yeah.
You know, anybody could do that. Wow, how she get recognition? This take work. Didn't nobody say, oh, you look good. Oh, you doing, here, I'm going to give you this. I had to scrimp and scrape.
Yeah.
I've had to take money out my pocket. I know you have a question.
Yeah, no, because you keep hitting on it and I can't miss it. Right? Because people often, I think, assume when you're in positions of leadership, whether it be on the community level or whether it be in another space, that level of sacrifice to really do whatever you're doing effectively. So, number one, I love you for the sacrifice that you've taken and that you continue to take to help other people progress. What is the, I guess my question is centered around, what is the central challenge, or what are some of the many challenges that you faced when doing this work? Because this sacrifice comes at a cost. And
I've had people try diabolical. I hadn't heard that word in a long time.
Diabolical.
Man, listen, one of my people that I have soul chats with on Sunday, it's a couple of residents in my area that's just do some diabolical, and I haven't used that word in years. They want to see me fail because they not in the pit. How's she getting all this recognition? Why is she on the radio? How come she on TV? How come she doing this? How come it came at a cost. When I first started this work, guys, that I failed to mention, I was taking the money that I get. Now, mind you, I'm on a fixed income. So I was taking my fixed income money to put on events. I would join organization and go to training and get these little stipends that they give you. All of that money was going into what I was doing as programming and connecting with people that was giving away free stuff, and I was building it on to plan for an event. So a lot of times I just kept enough money to cover my rent. We all need a roof over their head.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's all I was covering. And my phone, because I needed my cell phone. Those are my two. I needed a connection with the outside world, and I needed a roof over my head. All the other monies was going toward stuff for the community. So my sacrifices was this. And it's a few more, but I don't want to go into detail to make sure somebody else was okay.
That's right.
It's not cool living in a car. It's not cool sleeping on the ground. It's not cool sleeping in a bus shelter. It's not cool being so hungry that you got to teach yourself to eat. None of that is cool. And I don't want to see nobody, because it left scars. It left scars in me. But if I could heal somebody else's scar, not to go through that scar, it left me from not being suicidal, which I had tried to take my own life. But I'm still here because they had a purpose for me. Absolutely. No, you're not going to die today. Not today, Miss Burns. Not today.
So thank you so much. Last question.
Yeah. Really just, what would you say to someone who's looking to get into community work, but also last words, motivational words,
looking
love,
to get into community work? You got to be sincere. You got to be faithful. You got to be committed, because sometimes it's a very, very thankless job. But if you're looking for accolades, as the words in the Bible say, you can get great words from men, but men will disappoint you, and that's fading. Oh, but when God comes and shows up and shows out in your life,
you
you can't miss it. It's just overpowering. So this work is not easy. I advise anybody just stay faithful. Stay faithful, stay prayerful, stay committed, and stay transparent and honest and true to yourself and true to the man that made you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
So there we have it. A very special episode of Neighborhood Heroes. We would like to thank our special guest, Marilyn Burns. You know, the conversation of community building and the conversation of people building and spirit building is one that we take very seriously. And so we thank you so much for just giving us some of your wisdom. And you're always welcome back.
Always.
Whenever you want to talk about this, whenever you have something that you would like to bring to the people.
For sure.
Thank you so much. Gloria, would you like to say anything in our closing?
Well, thank y'all for listening to another episode of Our Neighborhood Heroes, and catch us next time because we'll be back.
That's right.
Peace.